What's going on, everyone? Today I wanted to present to you my Ice Shot Deadeye. This is a build that was put together from two other creators. The passive tree is pretty close to Mathel's Ice Shot Deadeye, and the equipment is similar to Arrow's Ice Shot Deadeye. They both had things that I liked, and they both had things that I didn't like, so I combined them, and then this is what I created. This build's pretty powerful, and it didn't really cost a whole lot to assemble. I would say I put between 4 to 5 divines into this build, and it can easily farm T16. It feels very safe. It can do bossing. Everything's great. We'll talk more about the build, but first a showcase. So I rolled 2 maps specifically for this. I rolled an Underground Sea that has a damage mod, and then I rolled a Fields map, which is a little bit more open, but this has crit chance, crit multi, damage, chain, and power charge on hit. So these are both pretty dangerous maps for this type of build. I only have 3.5k life, but you're going to see that doesn't really matter. Everything works still fine. So we'll start with the Underground Sea, and you can see how this build plays. So the big thing of this build is to just keep moving. Never stop moving. You see him just run over everything. It doesn't matter how dangerous this is. Everything just drops. And keep in mind, this is not a 20 divine build. This is not anything crazy. It's an amount of currency that I think most casual players can get, and I'm also a casual player. I'm not a Path of Exile pro. I don't generate a ton of money, per league, so this is something that's definitely accessible to a lot of people. So you see, for the most part, I pretty much haven't even gotten hit yet, and that's due a lot to just doing a lot of cold damage, moving fast, and having a good deal of evasion.
I'm not up to that.
So now we'll just go to the boss. And it's pretty fast too. Come in here. We're gonna hit the boss. Okay, first phase is down. Now we're gonna pop our ball ice shot. And that's it. The boss disappears. And here we'll also do a fully charged up Crucible encounter. What we're gonna do here is pop our Quicksilver, dodge out of the way, ball ice shot, and blast. That's it. No big deal. And this is pretty closed in. If this was on a more open map, this would have been even more safe, even though it was still pretty safe on this map. Okay, next map. This one is a lot more dangerous, but it is a little bit more open. So we'll see how it goes. Not going to play this any different. We're going to attempt this very dangerous essence here. In fact, let's make it even more rippy. Let's just corrupt it. Okay, that is a pretty rippy thing.
Beauty will grow from your remains.
That was an extremely rippy essence monster, and it just melted. Just keep moving for here.
I'm not up to that just yet.
Actually, I thought I got trapped there. I did not, though. Alright, go the boss.
My mana is low.
Alright, take our loot and leave. Okay, first let's talk about the gear. So first is the bow. It does have a Crucible tree. It's just some fire damage and attack speed and game power charge and kill. This node doesn't even really matter because I'm running power charge on crit and Mana Forge arrows and Frenzy, and this generates me power charges anyway, even without that node. This is something that I could actually replace, I just haven't yet. Besides that, this bow, it may look really good, but it's only a 5-link, and I purchased it for, I think, 45C, something like that, so it's very accessible bow. Heat Shiver is pretty much a free item. I did pay maybe 5 to 10C for this just to get a higher resistance roll, but besides that, it's a cheap item. You can pick them up for 1C. This quiver, I got this quiver because I needed Pierce. I wanted to drop Pierce from the tree, and so I needed a source of Pierce, and this was the way to do it. I am running Vengeance Cascade. That is one of the most expensive parts of this build besides the chest. I'll talk about that in a second. So I have Pierce, Flat, Cold, Lightning Damage. Lightning Damage was actually something that I Exalt slammed, and I don't actually care about that. Maybe it shocks, so that might be okay. I got Crit Multi, Lightning Resistance, Projectile Speed, and then just Crafted Life. I think I paid maybe 15C for this quiver, and then that was it. The amulet is for sure the most expensive piece. Replica Hyres. This amulet, when I bought it, was about 30C, and then it's 2 golden oils for Vengeance Cascade. Those are 60C a piece, so this amulet in total was close to a divine. It's probably a little cheaper if you buy it with the enchant already on it, or rather the anoint already on it, but I decided to anoint it myself, and so that's what I get. This chest was the most expensive piece for sure. This cost 2.4 divine, I think, and I've seen it for as low as 2 divine. This is probably the piece that makes this build feel really good to play. Before this I was dying all the time. Since I put this on, I really haven't died. I didn't die all the way to level 94, and I put this on at 92. This is great because you get 100% increased evasion if you get hit, and then on the first hit you take, if you haven't been hit recently, it's 35% less in damage taken. So you get hit for only 65% of the damage, and then you can get out of the way with 100% evasion. With all the flasks up and this up, I think evasion is at 90% or more, and so that feels really good. Both these rings are like 1 to 5C a piece. This one I just got with an open prefix, then crafted negative total mana cost. I did see other people are doing double crafts for this, -7 on both rings, but I'm finding that is just not necessary. 92 mana with instant leech and mana on hit. Pretty much no big deal. There's no need for double negative mana cost, I don't think, so you can save yourself that craft. So, but these are really cheap. Shadows and Dust, I had these in my stash already. I think these are maybe a couple chaos. These boots I picked up for, I think maybe 10 chaos. It has some suppression, regeneration, and then life and movement speed. I got a really good roll, Darkness and Throne, 92%. I picked that up for 12C. And then each of these Abyss Jewels, one is phasing on kill with some flat fizz and cold and crit multi. And the other one is flat fire, cold, and more crit multi. I think I paid maybe 20C for one of these and 10C for the other. So nothing too expensive here. All these flasks I bought for between 5 and 8C. And so maybe like 40C in total here. I do have a really good timeless jewel, and I did a video on how to find really good jewels. Believe it or not, I picked this up for 35C, and it gives so much stuff. Onslaught on kill, crit chance, evasion rating, crit chance, movement speed, cold res, blind on hit, and stun avoidance. Like literally every single notable is useful to this build, and I picked it up really cheap. With these, you just have to be patient. People don't know what they have, and they put it in there, and they just hope to get whatever. And if you check it ahead of time, and I'll post that video in the description on how to find a real good timeless jewel, but this was not that expensive, and it was really good. Let's talk about the tree a little bit. This tree is pretty much Mathel's tree for the most part, so I'll just highlight some of the high points. We're definitely taking 2 points on the leech wheel, as well as 10% leech is instant. This makes it feel really good. Your life just fills up every time you fire a bunch of arrows into wherever, and your mana stays full all the time. What's cool is even if your mana runs out, you still fire the default attack arrows, and as soon as those hit anything, your mana goes to full again. So it's not really a big deal in this build to run out of mana, because you're gonna get it back. As long as you can fire at a unique enemy for the entire time it's alive and sustain your mana. That's all that really matters. The rest will just come fine, and this build does do that fine. Next is the 15% increased maximum life if there's no life modifiers in the equipped body armor. This is another great thing about Kintsugi, is there's no life modifiers, so we can take advantage of that, and it's a free 15% life. So down at the suppression wheel, I am taking chance to suppress spell damage is lucky. I have 76% spell suppression chant. I don't know exactly what lucky means, but in effect, it really does feel like I have 100% suppression. I don't feel like I ever take huge spell damage hits, so I'm just kind of hoping that that means it's 100% roughly, but I don't know what it actually means. For the Ascendancy Points, I've tried a lot of different variations here. It's pretty obvious to take Gathering Winds and Focal Point. Those are obvious. You should take those always. However, there is some discussion as to which of the two you should take between Ricochet, Endless Munitions, and Far Shot. I originally had Ricochet and Endless Munitions, and I was able to spam the screen with a lot of arrows and get really good clear, but I wasn't doing a ton of damage. The thing with Vengeance Cascade is the arrows will go to their destination and then return to you. And what's cool is, with Far Shot, which is 60% more damage as it travels farther, the distance it travels out and back all counts as one flight. So by the time the arrow comes back from its final destination, it is most likely doing 60% more damage. And I ultimately tried it with Far Shot and Ricochet. I did get the idea from Mathel, and this ended up being what I think feels the best. You don't really need 5 arrows. 3 arrows, as you saw in the showcase, the clear is plenty good with 3 arrows. 5 arrows would not make it any better. And so I benefit from Ricochet and from Far Shot. Ricochet does complicate a little bit, because when you have Ricochet, if it hits an enemy and it can ricochet elsewhere, it's going to hit them and then travel and then come back, and it might not, hit the original target. So, this really is only working well for clear and sometimes for rares if nobody's around. But where it really works good is for unique enemies, because Ricochet no longer matters, because it'll only chain if it can. So when you're fighting a unique enemy and they're the only one on the field, you're going to get the arrow go through and then come back through the monster, and it's going to be close to double damage. Well, it's probably going to be over double damage, because it's going to be double damage just from the hit, and then you're going to get the 60% more damage. Definitely experiment as to which you like. I really think this is a preference. I feel like Far Shot is required, and then you could choose between Ricochet or Endless Munitions. As long as you have Pierce, Chain might not be necessary because it's piercing anyway, but you can determine which you feel is best. This is the one that I really like. And the last thing I want to talk about is the gem links. I forgot to do it earlier. I'm running a 5-link ballista setup with focused ballista. So when I attack, it attacks, and it's just a 5-link with elemental damage with attacks. If you're having problems with mana, you could swap this out for inspiration, but I find that it's fine. I'm using dash. I have my auras here with Sniper's Mark and Mark on Hit. This was one area where I changed from Mathel's build. So Mathel is self-casting Sniper's Mark, and I'm just an absolute potato at this game, so I can't be trusted to cast Sniper's Mark and not die in the process. I just feel like Mark on Hit makes this feel really good, even though it's having a reduced effect, of the marks. I still think it's worth it, but you can make that determination. I'm running Precision and Grace, and then I'm provided with Hatred. So one potential upgrade that could be made here is we could get Grace has increased reservation efficiency on the helmet, and if you did that, you could swap out Replica Hyres for a Hyres, where you can get level 30 Precision. I think it's more damage, but you got to get that enchant. That's the only way to run it. My 6th link is also Ice Shot with Mirage Archer, Cold Pen, Inspiration, Elemental Damage with Attacks, and Bone Chill. And then I'm running a Immortal Call with Cast and Damage Taken. I'm just running a level 1 and level 1 just because I don't have a ton of strength. And this just feels good. I hear it ping every so often when I get hit, and I feel like it saves my life a lot, so I'm glad I have that. And then I have Frenzy, Power Charge on Crit, and Mana Forge Arrows and Life Tap. And this makes it so I basically have maximum Frenzy and Power Charges at all times. I still have 2 links left. I don't know exactly what. I saw Mathel was running Tornado, so I'm going to look into that and see if that's helpful. But I will put something in there and hopefully I can increase damage even further. All in all, this build feels really great, and it didn't take a ton of currency to assemble. I think Fortified Divine is definitely doable for even casual players, and I really do kind of consider myself a casual player, so this wasn't hard to assemble, even for me, just running maps and having fun. So if you're considering a second character, a third character, or fourth, maybe select Ice Shot. It's a lot of fun to play. It's not as squishy as you might think. It is definitely a zooming build, so if you like to go really fast and just destroy things, this is definitely great for that. I will leave my POB for this character in the description, and the POB will be for what this character looks like at the time of this recording, and so you can check that out and see if you want to use it. Thanks a lot for watching, I really appreciate it, and I hope to catch you on a future video. See you later.